Hi guys, this is just a quick video on the overview of the trial project. There are 2 trials. If you have a really big class, you're doing 2 trials in each class. So it'll either be Mary Surratt or George Atzerodt. I'm going to be going over the trial worksheet paper and then a little bit about the trial itself. So you can watch this over and over and over again if you need questions answered. If you do have questions, come to me with specific questions. Make sure that your answers can't be found in this video. Okay, so you should get a paper. It has all of this on there. It's on Google Classroom. If you lost yours, you need to decide, or sorry, not decide. You need to find out whether you are prosecution or defense. Prosecution is arguing that Surratt or Atzerodt is guilty. Defense is arguing that Surratt or Atzerodt is innocent. And those are assigned to you also on Google Classroom in a Google spreadsheet. Same with what trial you are, that can also be found in that spreadsheet. Okay. Number 3, briefly describe what could be used by the 5 primary sources. Also on Google Classroom are primary source sheets. I have physical copies in my room, but those will stay in my room. You can find your own copy on Google Classroom. There are 5 sources for George Atzerodt, 5 sources for Mary Surratt, all in one paper. So you will read those, figure out what information in those primary sources can be used to support your argument. If you find that one source is favoring one side over the other, you can put what the other side would use as their argument. Okay, you want to be prepared to argue both sides because you want to be prepared for whatever the other side is going to say to you, right? Number 4, research a secondary source. So I gave you a bunch of primary sources. You just have to find one secondary source to show that you have good researching skills. And also it's good to use both primary and secondary sources. So those can be found on the internet. There's plenty of them. If you need help, let me know. Number 5, write 2 arguments based on the evidence found in the sources. So similar to the John Brown debate, you're taking evidence that you found in the primary or secondary sources and writing an argument. For example, if you're on the defense, you're making them look like a good person. If you're on the prosecution, you're making it seem like they're a bad person. Okay, so writing 2 arguments using evidence, just like that John Brown debate we did. Number 6, 2 arguments based on evidence that would make Mary Surratt or George Atzerodt look guilty by association if you're on the prosecution, or defending their association if you're on the defense with John Wilkes Booth. So depending on who you have, you're looking at their relationship with John Wilkes Booth. If you're on the prosecution, you're using that information and the fact that they were somehow connected to John Wilkes Booth and trying to make them look guilty. If you are on the defense, you are doing everything in your power to defend their association with John Wilkes Booth. So for example, Mary Surratt, the whole connection that she has with John Wilkes Booth was that she owned the tavern where they met, where John Wilkes Booth and his friends met to discuss the plan to kill Lincoln. Okay, that was her involvement with John Wilkes Booth. Also, the fact that her son was friends with John Wilkes Booth. Okay, so that would be her relationship. Okay. 7. This is basically just the outline of how the trial is going to go. Similar to the John Brown debate, you have your thesis, guilty or not guilty, depending on what side you're on and who you have in the trial, and then the 3 arguments. Participation in the trial is worth 15 points, 5 points for presenting, 5 points for responding to the argument. You need to write out 1 question you want to ask the defendant. If you are playing Mary Surratt or George Atzerodt, you have a separate paper. I will put that on Google Classroom as well. Those people know who they are. If you forget, that is also on that Google spreadsheet. Okay, so make sure you're looking at that. So the trial people, you will write 1 question you would like to ask our witnesses, our Mary Surratt and George Atzerodt. Okay, just like in that book you're reading in ELA, they question the witnesses all the time. So that's kind of what we're doing with this. Winning the court case will be 2 points for a total of 15 points, or sorry, 50. Gosh, I'm tired. 50 points total. So that's a little bit of an overview of the project as a whole. We have our 2 trials, like I said. You need to figure out first, what trial are you researching? Write that down on your paper. What side are you on, prosecution or defense? Look at that Google spreadsheet. Trial checklist. Okay, it's just kind of going through that worksheet, looking at the primary sources, finding a secondary source, find arguments. If you're playing that defendant, if you're playing Mary Surratt or George Atzerodt, you need to describe what they look like and let me know if you need any costume pieces. Describe their backgrounds and describe what their relationship was like with John Wilkes Booth, because you need to be prepared to answer the questions. So that is it. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll see you in the next one.